And 2022 is the introduction by the KK group of the class, which has now turned out to be fake. They talked of dynasties, they are creating dynasties. They talked of hustlers, they are flattening the hustlers. In Mount Kenya, the youth were called hustlers. Today they are being called Mungiki.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you're well from wherever you're watching this channel. Now, Cyrus Jirongo has been silent lately, politically, but nobody knew that Cyrus Jirongo has an online show dubbed The Alpha House. A day ago, Cyrus had invited KARUA to shed more lights on the goings of the country, to talk about William Ruto's regime and how Kenyans are reacting to what William Ruto is doing as far as his manifesto is concerned. And of course, you know that people are not happy with William Samoei Ruto. So, Cyrus Jirongo and KARUA in a one-on-one session went through a lot of issues pertaining to government's running. And this is what KARUA said.
For more than a decade. And look at even our worst and our best times. Our worst time being the end days of the KANU era. Our best days being the Kibaki days, especially the initial days. And I can say without equivocation that where we are is worse than the darkest days of KANU.
Now, KARUA likens William Ruto's regime to a regime that is worse than even Moi's era. Mind you, many people who were there during 1980s to 1997 there will tell you that Moi ruled with an iron fist. And especially those who were there during 1980s, they will tell you that that is the time Moi became worse. That is going by history. There were abductions, there were kidnappings, there were, executions and the like. All these were labeled on the KANU's regime. So KARUA is saying that what Kenya is facing right now is worse than what Kenyans faced during KANU's era. That means Kenyans are in shit. That is what I can say in very few words. So KARUA goes further to tell Kenyans that the problem that Kenya is facing is of their own making. And also goes further to say that hustlers are now called Mungiki. Let me be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, and this is something that you already know, that the KK regime rode on the fact that there was a category called dynasty and there is a category called hustlers. And you already know that hustlers form the bigger percentage of Kenyans because these are youths, the unemployed youths, people who are always idling, the mamambogas, the people who use matatu touts, These are people who consider themselves as hustlers. So that's why KARUA is saying that the problem that Kenyans are faced with, and many people are complaining, is of their own making. You see, there's a time Kimani Ngunjiri said that it is not easy for Kenyans to get out of the bondage of over-taxation because Kenyans never made wise decision in electing leaders. So during that also interview, in I think in was it Kameme FM? But during that interview, Onesmus Kimani Ngunjiri also blamed William Ruto's regime and said that William Ruto's regime is overtaxing Kenyans. Kenyans are being subjected to a lot of tax left, right, and center. And you already know what is happening right now about the housing levy. That has already been introduced, signed, though we know that it's in the courts. You also know about the issues of avocado tax, other farm produce tax, so many taxations introduced. So all this, KARUA and Onesmus Kimani Ngunjiri talked about overtaxations on Kenya. So who is to blame for this mess?
just a small bottle that while milking for your neighbor, he reserved a small bottle which he put in his jacket for his child. Your neighbor got the rest of the milk and it was taken to the dairy. But he was caught with that one bottle and was sacked. You would not agree to hire that person.
For sure.
You would actually chase them from your home angrily, asking them, do you think I'm a fool? I don't know what you did to my neighbor?
Yes.
He stole only a bottle, and the rest of the milk gallons went to the farmer. But for management of country's affair, you are taking the thief, not who steals the bottle, who steals the bucket, the milk in the bucket, steals also the bucket, leaves you the bottle, and after a while even takes the one in the bottle and tells you the cow kicked the milk. You see,
yes.
We do not, the public, the bulk of the public in Kenya do not connect with the fact that public resources are their resources, such that I should be very upset as a taxpayer that my resources are being wasted, are being abused, are being stolen. Just the way I would get so mad if just my pen is taken away or my handbag, or anything from your farm, or just something little by somebody working in your house. You would tell them you are untrustworthy, get out of my house. Because they didn't ask you, it's something you could have given them. But the fact that they misappropriated the item, you chase them out. So we need to ask ourselves, if you are crying today about services in the hospitals, you are crying about you being unable to pay the fees, which, by the way, are going to be raised by the taxes. If you are complaining of our taxation, of general abuse of resources and mismanagement of the country, why then do you hire the worst? Why don't you hire the other candidates? Because you have many. And I'm not talking of just one job at the top. I am talking from that MCA to all the seats in the county, to the presidency. Why are we hiring the worst? If we really think the shoe is pinching, the only way to rectify it is using our collective power at the ballot. But I would describe it as the power of one, because you vote alone. So each person or a majority of Kenyans determining that we will leave our national values and vote people of integrity, and that we hold them to account. For me, that's the solution. But this is a debate. This is a question every Kenyan must answer. Answer yourself. And when you sit with others, let's discuss.
Yes, very well. The person who is to blame for all this mess, mishaps and the like of Kenya Kwanza regime are Kenyans. I mean, that is going by what Martha Karua said, and Cyrus Jirongo also lamented the same. Kenyans are to blame. If you're very keen on that segment where Martha Karua unleashes those facts, then there is a part there she talks about the choice of Kenyans. And you already know that there is a saying that choices have consequences. So Kenya's mistake was electing someone whom they themselves knew that had some, some issues. That is what Martha Karua is trying to say. And she goes to an extent of give an example of, someone who knows very well that this person I'm trying to elect is a thief or is ungodly. I mean, she uses that example, and then you already know that that is the position, but you also go to an extent of electing that kind of person. And then you want that person to behave like a goddess or like a god. So these are some of the things that Martha Karua observes as mistakes over Kenyans, and that's why Kenyans are not supposed to cry sana hivyo. Unajua, ili swala zima kulingana vile naliona na Martha Karua ameliongelea pale na Jirongo pia ameliongelea pale, shida zote ambao watu wamepitia ni Mkenya amesababisha. In 2002, Kenyans made a bold decision to remove KANU from power, and they did that, and Kenyans spoke in one voice. In 2027, according to Martha Karua, there is need for Kenyans to make another bold decision and remove the KK from power forever, because that is the arithmetic that is being, that will work. If Kenyans go all of them in one side like they did in 2002 to remove KANU forever, then this is going to be possible even in 2027. People will remove the KK regime forever, because already there is signs of mismanagement of public resources. What many people have been saying, that huu ni wakati wetu wa kukula. That is what is being witnessed in the regime. So Martha Karua realizes the best thing to do is for Kenyans to make the same decisions they made in 2002. Of course, in 2007, there was a similar move that Kenyans made, but you know what happened thereafter? There was a theft of almost 1 million votes, going by the history, going by the facts which were released. Almost 1 million votes were stolen, and these votes gave Kibaki an unfair lead over Raila Amolo Odinga. So that is what happened. So in 2027, Martha Karua says that the best thing that Kenyans can do to alleviate themselves from this issue is to go on one side and vote out the people who are mismanaging these public resources. That is what Martha Karua seems to believe, and I agree with her. I mean, she has a point there. Only that Kenyans also have a say in the ultimate balloting or ultimate voting. Kenyans will also have a say. So that is where the fear is. If you take, for example, someone like Martha Karua and someone like Anne Waiguru, Anne Waiguru during the first term of Uhuru had some corruption allegation labeled on her, and these corruption allegations I think is the reason why she was she resigned or she was fired. And I remember back then even Ruto used to talk about this corruption on Anne Waiguru. But you see, in 2017, Anne Waiguru took over the leadership of Kirinyaga County, and Martha Karua didn't. You see, that's why Martha Karua says that people are not looking at the track records of someone. They are only looking at, other factors. So Martha Karua did not win the Kirinyaga County governor position in 2017, but Anne Waiguru did. In 2022, there was a Puritan Girishi who also wanted to become the governor of Kirinyaga County. And Kirinyaga County was full of so many corruption allegations again. There was talk that Anne Waiguru was not delivering. But they also ended up again making Anne Waiguru the governor again for the second term. So that's why Martha Karua says here that these problems that Kenyans are finding themselves in are of their own making. Their own making. Nobody brought these problems on Kenyans, but Kenyans brought these problems on them. That is why the burden of over-taxation will still deal with Kenyans. This could be a punishment. Someone talked about biblical matters, that this could be a punishment by God, that the choices have consequences, that these are the consequences. The consequences are over-taxations and everything, businesses being closed down. I have seen lots of businesses closing down simply because they cannot be able to meet the needs of the government. The needs of the government are the taxes collected, the escalation of commodity prices and everything. So the needs of the government are ballooned, and the returns of Kenyans, the revenue Kenyans are getting, ni kidogo sana, to a level whereby now what Kenyans are trying to do right now is to cut costs on expenditure. Now, if I was spending 1,000 a day, I just cut costs by 500 and I spend 500 because I don't want to spend 1,000 because my revenue has gone down. Expenses have ballooned. So those are some of the facts or the factors which Martha Karua seems to be talking about. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to raise my case here. But what do you think of this interview that's hosted by KARUA-JIRONGO, and the invited guest was Martha Karua? And you heard what Martha Karua said. So just offer your reaction below the comment section. Now, perhaps if you watch this video and you have not subscribed, please take 1 second and subscribe. Give this video a like. Until you catch up again, stay safe and stay blessed.